Biology Part 237. For instance, we talk about the blood relatives. For instance, the context of the paternal care, it is easy to see that gene which contributes to more effective parental care will be likely to increase in frequency, even at the expense of reducing individual viability. In precisely the same way, alarm calls and the protective behavior of the baboons will be favored by the selection provided the organisms which benefit normally include the offspring of the individual producing the call. More dramatic examples of the altruistic behavior are seen in the social behavior of interest. The termite has a well-developed social system in which reproduction is normally limited to a single male and female. The primary king and queen, often the original founders of the colony, brood care, food gathering, and defense of the colony are the functions of the separate castes of the workers and soldiers. The behavior of these individuals is entirely altruistic all of their lives and spent in supporting the reproductive efforts of the king and the queen. Indeed, the development of reproductive organs in the workers and the soldiers is prevented so that they are unable to produce their own offsprings. At intervals, some of the larvae form eggs laid by the queen develop into the winged male and female reproductive forms, which erupt from the colony, mate, and fly off to found new colonies. It is now known that the cooperative effort involved in the social behavior is possible because the individuals which comprise a colony are invariably the members of an extended family and therefore have many of the genes in common. The reproductive success of the colony as a whole ensures that many of the copies of these genes will be passed on to the next generation. Each individual which is a part of the colony therefore contributes to the survival of the many of its own genes, whether or not these are represented in its own offspring. If selfish individuals appear which reproduce on their own account without the support of the colony, they tend to leave the fewer copies of their genes. In other words, in special circumstances of the social behavior, the genes which control the altruistic behavior can sometimes be favored by selection, while genes for selfish behavior are selected against. Other social insects include the ants, wasps, and the bees. Ants are enormously successful, and in tropical ecosystems, they replace earthworms as the main organisms processing soil and leaf litter. It is no coincidence that all these insects belong to the same group, the order Hymenoptera, so that they share a rather unusual method of sex determination. Males are haploid and are produced from unfertilized eggs, while the females are diploid and develop from the fertilized eggs. An important consequence is that the sterile female are diploid and develop from fertilized eggs. An important consequence is that the sterile female workers in any colony each have about 3/4 of their genes in common with their mother, the queen, and the threshold which must be passed from the cooperative success of the colony to exceed potential individual success are correspondingly lower than in termites, where the individuals share on an average only about half of their genes with their parents. This helps to explain why social organization has evolved independently several times among the Hymenoptera, but only once in the termites. The social behavior of the honeybee is described in our tutorial.